Alejandro Jodorowsky. Who is Alejandro Jodorowsky? He is a recognized Zen master, a great artist, a sage, a seer, and a thaumaturg. And I'll unpack this. Let me start with this. Alejandro Jodorowsky underwent a Zen training with Master Ejo Takata, who recognized him as an accomplished Zen master excelling in koans. He is a famous reader of the Tarot de Marseille. For Jodorowsky, not a deck of cards, but a living being. His interest in tarot began when he was 5 years old. At a certain time, he had 1,500 tarot decks. He and Philippe Camoin, heir of a tarot lineage since 1760, restored over 10 years the tarot symbology scattered over Europe. He wrote about tarot the book The Way of Tarot, the spiritual teacher in the cards. Quote, "When I decided to invent an art to heal, I jumped out of my person as if out of an ivory tower and entered the pain of the world. I used a humble set of tarot cards as an instrument." End quote. Jodorowsky was then around 40. Already for many years he used to give every week public tarot readings for free in the Café Le Téméraire in Paris. To this he added public healing sessions. Quote, "I did not read the future, I read the present. When I began to read the present of people, the problems of family fall onto me." End quote. Jodorowsky is a great artist, filmmaker, a mime, an actor. He studied pantomime with nobody less than Marcel Marceau, whom he assisted for 5 years. He played as actor in some of his movies, of which many have a cult status. I'll just name them: Fando Elise, El Topo, The Holy Mountain, sponsored by John Lennon, Santa Sangre, The Dance of Reality, Endless Poetry, and the documentary Psychomagic. Jodorowsky is a maker of the best movie never made, Dune, after the novel of Frank Herbert. To play in Dune, Jodorowsky recruited Orson Welles, Salvador Dalí, Dan O'Bannon, H.R. Giger, and Pink Floyd. Frank Pavich made a documentary about this non-existent movie. It is fascinating how Jodorowsky convinced his collection of Monstre Sacre to play in his movie. One example: how did he convince Salvador Dalí? The story is this: Dalí, surrounded by his court, received Jodorowsky at the bar of the Hotel Saint-Régy in New York and greeted him with a question. "Picasso and me, while walking on one or the other beach, used to find many watches in the sand. Did you also find many watches?" To which Jodorowsky answered, "I did not find even one, but I lost many." Jodorowsky is a prolific writer. He wrote 3 autobiographies, a number of novels, and a huge number of graphic books. The series The Incal, The Metabarons, Madwoman of the Sacred Heart, Borgia, and more have sold millions of copies worldwide. The book covers you see are about his healing method. His healing method underwent many phases and had different names: psychoshamanism, metagenealogy, and eventually was summed up under the name Psychomagic. I would like to tell you something about Jodorowsky as a person. Jodorowsky knows his value, yet he is not arrogant. He is compassionate and exceptionally generous. He has integrated the male and female side of himself like nobody else. He is truly androgynous. He started as a typical South American macho man, and through many transformations described in his book The Spiritual Journey of Alejandro Jodorowsky, he developed his feminine side as equal partner to his male side. He is powerful, organized, successful in attaining big goals, and extremely creative, imaginative, and intuitive. He is a seer. The three remarkable women teachers he encountered, who helped him reunite with the feminine principle in himself, were nobody less than the famous surrealist painter Leonora Carrington, then Reina Dacia, the daughter of Gurdjieff and heiress to Gurdjieff's teachings, and two saintly Mexican brujas named Dona Madalena and Pachita, about whom he writes in another book, The Dance of Reality. His movies elevated from personal tragedy. He had a very difficult childhood. His family tree is ridden with tragedies. His struggles and quests, as also the tarot cards, the Zen training, the encounters with Mexican brujas and French surrealist artists, among others André Breton himself, the books he wrote are the blueprint for all his healing methods. Everything Jodorowsky says and does originates from his experience. He had extraordinary teachers like Ezo Takata, friends, collaborators, students, yet nothing he said or did is borrowed, copied, imitated. It is authentic his. Jodorowsky has traits of a saint. His readings and the healing work are born out of pure compassion. He introduced the concept of civil sainthood and lives up to it. For Jodorowsky, the concept of universal consciousness is pivotal. Universal consciousness is, in Jodorowsky's view, the ultimate source for creativity, healing, and transformation. To connect to pure awareness or universal consciousness confers to the individual existential, vital insights, strengths, forbearance, courage, equanimity. It is this contact which fosters the growing of the individual out of ancestral patterns towards his authentic self, his true self, and enables him eventually to heal the family tree from within. For Jodorowsky, illness and suffering stem from a lack of beauty and awareness. Through his arduous inner work, he has discovered or uncovered the source of joy deeply buried and heavily veiled in the heart. The bliss which is, according to the Eastern tradition, the ultimate reality. It is this unconditional joy, free of cause and effect, which is our deepest and most true nature. And Jodorowsky is free. He is free of conditioning, conventions, biases, prejudices, guilt, false ties like false modesty, false respectability, false pretensions. This freedom makes him also fearless. In the Spanish and French-speaking world, he is an icon. He has more than 1 million followers. To him, the endeavor to heal oneself, to break free from conditioning, and to unlock the authenticity and creativity of the person is a hero's journey. What follows are 2 video clips. First is from Jodorowsky's documentary, Psychomagic. He did it when he was 89. And the clip is Jodorowsky presents his documentary. And the second video are fragments from the trailer for the documentary.
El psicoanálisis fue creado por Sigmund Freud, un médico neurólogo. Sus raíces son científicas. La psicomagia fue creada por Alejandro Jodorowsky, un cineasta y director de teatro. Sus raíces son artísticas. El psicoanálisis es una terapia mediante palabras. La psicomagia es una terapia mediante actos. El psicoanálisis prohíbe al terapeuta tocar a sus pacientes. La psicomagia recomienda al terapeuta tocar a sus consultantes. Esta forma de curar, más allá de las palabras, me nació hace 50 años, en forma de masaje iniciático. He aquí al primero de mis masajes iniciáticos, madre y padre de la psicomagia.
There's an anger in me that is deep. I want to heal myself of this. Father, mother, sister.
Why don't you listen to me?
J'ai décidé de rendre à la terre ce corps de souffrance.
Si tu es malade, je suis malade. Si tu souffres, je souffre.
¡Y estoy!
Sí, señor. Salí de mi encierro como una torre de marfil y entré en el dolor del mundo. Entonces me vi obligado a sanar, es decir, a inventar la psicomagia.
Jodorowsky, the thaumaturg. The wish to create a healing method came to Jodorowsky around 1968 when living in Paris and reading the Tarot weekly for free in the Café Le Téméraire. He started to add to the Tarot reading family constellation, calling his method Psychogenealogy, which grew into what he calls Psychomagic. Quote, We don't know the causes or the cure or both of our symptoms, our suffering. If we knew, we would not search a doctor, therapist, shaman, acupuncturist, and so on. So the cause or the cure or both are unconscious, are buried in the unconscious. End quote. Most therapies scoop things from the unconscious, for example, dreams, and present it to the conscious, to our daily rational mind. The conscious daily mind then interprets the dream, as in psychoanalysis, or if the dream was frightening, ends it differently, as in Gestalt therapy. The idea is that the conscious daily mind has to learn the language of the unconscious, because the unconscious cannot learn the language of the rational daily consciousness. We cannot learn to dream realistic and logic dreams happening in linear time, but we can learn to interpret a dream and or to give a dream another positive ending. Jodorowsky goes much further. He devises dreams which need to be enacted for the resolution to occur. The dream he devises is surrealistic, disregards logic, and violates our perception of time and space. This is psychomagic. It consists of acts which our daily rational consciousness, tied to linear time, three-dimensional space, and the corporeal, measurable world does not understand, but which the unconscious understands flawlessly. The cause and the cure are unconscious. So for a cure to happen, the more direct the unconscious is addressed, the more sure that the suffering will be mitigated. This is a principle of psychomagic, the prescription of seemingly absurd acts which symbolize both the cause of the suffering and its resolution. Psychomagic grew out of Jodorowsky's understanding of the family tree, which he calls psychogenealogy. In Jodorowsky's understanding, the family tree is both a trap and a treasure. Trap because of traumas, limiting beliefs, and rigid patterns passed down through generations. Treasure because of inherited talents and strengths. To him, the endeavor to heal oneself, to break free from conditioning, and to unlock the authenticity and creativity of the person is a hero's journey, which I already mentioned. The ultimate goal, though, is to return to the family and heal it from inside. How? He did this with his own family tree in his novel Where the Bird Sings Best, which took him 5 years to write. He did it by truly seeing each ancestor, by imagining him, her, live as if lived with his, her whole creative potential, permeated with goodness, by absorbing his or her energy into one's own heart, and dissolving the boundaries between oneself and the family. Where does the bird sing best? In the family tree. The past can be reimagined. It can be beautified. The suffering can be transmuted into wisdom and legend. His take draws from psychoanalysis, tarot as metaphysical machine, not a deck of cards, but a great spirit, Western and Eastern traditions, Western history of art, especially surrealism, and the deep knowledge stored in the body. The liberation and creativity of the hero contributes to the healing and evolution of the entire lineage. To Jodorowsky, illness is due to a lack of beauty and awareness, while healing involves authentically becoming oneself. Some key principles related to the family tree. 1. Unresolved traumas, emotional wounds, and behavioral patterns are unconsciously transmitted across generations. These inherited issues can manifest in descendants as psychological difficulties, physical symptoms, and destructive behaviors. So this is a transgenerational transmission of trauma and imprisoning patterns. Invisible loyalty and unconscious identification. Individuals unconsciously identify with their ancestors' beliefs, emotions, or unresolved conflicts. This loyalty can lead to the repetition of dysfunctional behaviors as people remain bound by family legacies they may not consciously understand. Now, what is important in Jodorowsky's understanding is that the family tree is not a static record of the past, but a living, dynamic system that continues to influence each member. Each person's problems are interconnected with the family as a whole, and awareness in one member can trigger change throughout the system. So, what is Jodorowsky's methodology? A client sits across Jodorowsky at a table in Café Le Téméraire in Paris and tells him in 1-2 sentences what his suffering is. And first Jodorowsky reads the tarot for this person. And then he draws a genogram of the family tree of the client and tells the client what he sees. And I have seen videos with Jodorowsky doing this. They were in French, and it is fascinating how in a couple of minutes complex aspects of family entanglements are made visible. Now, before Jodorowsky started to prescribe magic acts, he was doing with a client a family constellation. And there are videos with Jodorowsky's family constellations in French and in Spanish, and I saw some in French. Since he prescribes magic acts, he let go of building family constellations. He designs magic acts. And the magic act can be simple, one action, or very elaborate, a chain of actions to be executed in a specific order. And to ask Jodorowsky for help and receive recommendations for a magic act requires courage. And many clients master the courage by thinking of their children to protect their children from inheriting destructive patterns. I warn you, many magic acts are outrageous. I'll give you 2 examples which are not outrageous. First, a man in his 40s, not capable to have a satisfying love relationship, had to break 2 watermelons with an axe. Then bury the broken, juice-oozing melons in a forest and plant on top of them flowers. After the ritual, his relationship with his mother improved, and he met a woman with whom he fell in love, engaging this time in a happy relationship. So, for the rational mind living in the consensus time and space reality, most prescriptions do not make much sense. They make sense for the unconscious. Yet, in this case, for a baby, the melons are as big and as round as the breasts of the mother. By breaking the melons and let their red juice flow, the man murders the mother, who did not give the emotional nourishment he needed as a child. The use of force releases the anger and resentment. The burial of the melons gives control over the situation, and the planting of the flowers means a new life is allowed to grow over the old expired one. Hence, the improved relationship with the mother and the fulfilling new love. Second example. A man whose mother told him and treating him accordingly that he is trash. In spite of professional success and loyal friends, he suffers of chronic depression and struggles in social situations and often even at work with feelings of inadequacy, deficiency. Jodorowsky's prescription: to live literally for 3 days and nights in a garbage dump. Take food and a mattress, and for 3 days, don't budge from this place. The 3 days were for the man hell. He cried, he fought with himself not to run away, and in between became suicidal. At the end of the 3 days, he went home, took a shower, put on fresh clothes, and realized with certainty that he is not trash. Next, he took his mother to the garbage dump, and he told her that he is not trash, and all the garbage piled up there belongs to her. Now, there are a number of common elements to the magic acts. 1. They resemble dreams or psychedelic experiences. The core emotions causing the suffering are enhanced. The amplified feelings are raw, unbearable, with all their ramifications. All scenarios belonging to the feelings are experienced. At the end, there comes a resolution. 2. They resemble a theater play with specific paraphernalia, clothes. For example, a man has to wear female clothes and makeup and go in public spaces, also spaces where he is known. A woman has to steal from her mother's wardrobe certain clothes and wear them for a number of days. Other paraphernalia are costumes, shoes, masks, birds, flowers, plants, coins, eyes of glass, and much more. And the location is often a cemetery, a forest, a garden, an unfamiliar town or the childhood town, a restaurant, and so on. Another aspect, for the magic act, body excretions may be needed. Blood, urine, feces, menstrual blood, sperm. I'll give you one example, short. An overweight woman addicted to chocolate. And the magic act? To smear 2 slices of bread with her feces. Place them at the bottom of a pot. Fill the pot with earth and a plant. And place a pot with a plant on her dining table. No need to say that the woman never touched chocolate again. 3. For the client, the act happens in another state of consciousness than his daily consciousness. Already the preparation of the magic act elicits strong emotions, which during the act itself are even more amplified. At the end, the client experiences a strong catharsis, a change in her emotional structure, a shift in her way of relating to herself, to her family, to people in general, to life. The magic act liberates. This is Jodorowsky's goal with his magic acts, to set the person free from transgenerational entanglements, so that the authentic self can emerge fully and the person can live the creative life she is meant for. And last but not least, no 2 magic acts are the same. Each magic act is unique, tailored for the problem of the person for whom it is a healing, a liberation. For Jodorowsky, the ultimate goal is to heal oneself in order to heal the family system. He emphasizes that when individuals resolve their own inherited wounds, they contribute to the evolution and health of the entire lineage and, by extension, to society. This is Jodorowsky's last book, The Way of Imagination, and in it 84 people describe the magic acts he prescribed to them and their effect. So if you are interested in Jodorowsky, if his approach appeals to you, it is a book which I recommend. Summary so far. The individual is a member of his family and of a family tree. The individual is a heir of the large group's legacies transmitted through the family. As a baby, the individual attaches securely or insecurely to a primary caregiver, usually the mother. The type of attachment, if secure or not, is decisive for the rest of the life of the individual and depends on the caregiver, not on the baby. The individual can be highly or barely self-differentiated, again depending on the level of self-differentiation of the primary caregivers, usually the parents. The individual can inherit family debts and rewards. The family transmits to the child values like solidarity, equality, justice, like beliefs in own superiority and other people's inferiority, like entitlement for revenge, like a license to violence. These values and beliefs flow from one generation to the next to the next. And the family dynamic influences as well how genes will manifest, a mechanism called epigenetics. Another take to family transmission is through a mechanism not completely understood. Parents' circumstances and their reactions to the circumstances make the genes of their baby to manifest in a certain way, and this is called epigenetic. The language of genetics is highly specialized, and I will simplify it in a non-scientific way. Let's say there are mood genes, and the moods are sorrow and joy. If the parents are chronically grieving, the child grows up in a somber, gloomy household. In this case, the gene of sorrow may be activated while the gene of joy is suppressed.